Hey, this is Ozzy from Sisters Doll, and I'm the lead guitarist.
Beautiful, awesome. You're probably sick of this question, but there's no better way to kick off an interview, I guess, with a annoying question. How did you guys
Mhm.
get the name Sisters Doll?
Yeah, I know we do get asked that a lot actually, because it's interesting, but the story ain't that exciting. But when we began, we wanted to do the whole glam rock thing, do the whole. We're a little bit more out there, we're a lot more colourful, and we'd wear them like pretty heavy makeup with pink blush and things like that. And we're like, okay, we want to be in that glam vein. So at the time, we were loving like Twisted Sister and we're looking at New York Dolls logo, and we're like, and I think Brennan, our singer, was like, "How about Sister's Doll?" We're just trying to come up with stuff, and that he just blurted it out. And we're like, "Yeah, it's kind of got a good syllables to it, for Sister's Doll, people to chant it out." And we're like, "Okay, we'll go with that," and it's stuck for the past 15 years now. So
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. So there's no real sort of story about some creepy doll of someone's sisters or anything like that.
no, we played on the concept a bit, with the first album being Dollhouse, and then the second
Yeah.
album was All Dolled Up, and the third album now has a song called Baby Doll, and yeah, we kind of kept it in that within that concept a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. And can you tell us about the inspiration behind your latest album, Scars?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, inspiration wise, it was kind of we hadn't released an album for a good for the second album we released in 2017, so it'd been like a good what's that 5 6 years before we've released like an album, and we'd released a single during that time, but it was like it's time to release an album. I think like people were craving it, craving some new material, and we we're always writing a lot. And we sort of, during COVID, actually, we sort of built like a bit of a studio at home so we could demo up some music and some songs and sort of do some pre-production stuff. And that's basically what it was just like the inspiration was just what we're going through at the time and what we've been through in our past lives. Hence why the album's called Scars, because each song sort of represents a scar of our lives that we've been through. So and that's basically the inspiration. It was just we felt like it was time to release some new music, which we did, and um, yeah, all of it began just with in this room, literally like
Yeah.
doing pre-production and demoing up a bunch of songs. We got in touch with a producer, Ricki Rae, out of Light Hill Sound Studios, and he's very well respected in the Melbourne scene and in all of the Australian music industry. He does a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's just how it started. We got in touch with him. He said, "Send me songs. Just keep sending me songs," and we were constantly demoing, and we picked the best out of the lot, and it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And I was watching a clip from you guys way back in the day, and it was an American, I believe you guys were going in around an American town. It looked like Las Vegas. I could be totally wrong, but you guys were
Yeah,
so young. Did you guys
yeah.
experience that success so rapidly and quickly overseas?
At the time when we first went to America as a band, we were there for about 3 weeks, and we were based sort of in LA for the 3 weeks, and we did shows at the Whiskey, and there was like a music seminar we went to, and yeah, went to Vegas and things like that, and during that time, we're only there for 3 weeks. This was like in 2012, I think it was, and during that short amount of time we were creating a bit of a buzz. Like people
Yeah.
were trying to get in touch with us, and we met a lot of like agents and publicists and things like that, and during that short time we were there, like things were starting to happen, but it was we had management at the time that wasn't very fitting for us, and it kind of held us back a little bit. But and we were very young too, so but the experience we had there was great. It was starting to grow, but we're only there for the 3 weeks, and then we never went back for years until only recent years we've been going back a little bit more. Uh, what's the word? Occasionally, but
Yeah.
a bit more frequently. Sorry, to sort of touch the masses there because they seem to love it.
Yeah, definitely. That must have been crazy, so young experience that at the time, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, and I mean, at the time, I think I was like 14 or something, and there was like, yeah, publicists and agents all keen on us, and like they were like, "We you need to move here." Like that we they gave us a tour around like this apartment complex to like live,
My
and
God.
we didn't obviously go through with it, but at the time it was like it was tempting, and we just and then we went through a rough patch after that with personal band reasons and management and things like that. So it kind of held us back. But you know, we're stronger than ever now. So whatever
That's it.
happens now, who knows? I don't know.
That's it. And you know what? It might not have worked out in the end anyway if you did jump on that.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm sure there was a reason for it that it didn't happen. So
Yeah, that's it. And how do you balance your distinct sound whilst exploring new musical territories?
that's a really good question.
Oh, good.
um, it's basically like the four of us have our each individual sort of like personal taste. Like collectively, we know we love Kiss and Van Halen and Motley Crue and all the big guys, you know. But personally, like you know, Bryce is heavy into like Machine Gun Kelly, and
Wow.
I love like Post Malone. You know, Brennan's quite our singer. He's quite into he likes a lot of country stuff and things like that. Like he's very lyrically driven. So a lot of that stuff touches him a bit. And Sage, our younger brother, who's recently joined, who's the bass player now, he's got his own taste too. So we whatever comes out of us is pretty much natural. Like whatever we're writing in the moment, like Brennan will bring some lyrics to me and a song idea. So you really go with what fits the song, and with all the music we do, it's not like we don't try to write like, oh, this is going to be a heavy song. Let's try write a hit. Let's try write this or whatever. It's just like whatever comes through us in that moment is what comes through, and I guess like just by luck, all our influences come through within that. So
Yeah,
I'm so
definitely.
sorry because I hope you can't hear my
Oh,
notifications coming.
no,
All
it
good.
sounds fine. Definitely, you can definitely hear all those influences in your music. But I think what's great about you guys is that there's not one of those influences that I can be like, oh, they've just ripped off Kiss or, you know, whatever. It's
Yeah,
not, you've
yeah.
combined them all and made it your own.
Yeah, we try to, you know, like, and again, it's not like we don't try to sound like people. Like, we get a lot of, we do actually get a lot of comments saying like, oh, I hear a lot of Kiss harmonies, and it
Yeah.
sounds like Kiss, and it's like, does it? We're like, really? We don't hear any Kiss in our music at all. Like,
Yeah.
maybe a little, but we don't. It just, you know, but it naturally comes through, I guess. And if that's what people hear, that's what they hear. But no, it's never. We don't try to sound like people. We try to sound like us, and we feel like with this album, we've sort of really found our sound, and it's just it all naturally comes through. Whatever we feel is what we feel, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
And then, so I suppose going back to your very early days, your childhood, was that that type of music being played a lot at home? And is that what got you into that genre?
Yeah, 100%. Our dad was a musician. A musician. He played in a lot of cover bands, and he had his own original stuff too. But
Nice.
yeah, like growing up, like I think the first music I heard when I came home from the hospital, you know, like being
Yeah.
born, was probably Kiss cranking on the speakers. I don't know, like, but our dad was you know, we had all the Kiss memorabilia in our house. We have the Kiss pinball. We had the Kiss posters everywhere. Like, just you know, that's
That's awesome.
how we were brought up. And he, you know, but he'd be cranking everything, things from like Van Halen, yeah, Kiss, Def Leppard, even some Shania Twain. Like, just
Yeah.
there's a whole variety of stuff he'd crank. So we just had that variety in us, and I mean, obviously the main core genre was rock and roll. So it's just naturally in us. We didn't choose that genre. It's what we felt like we wanted to do because that's what we looked up to as kids.
Yeah, it chose you. The genre chose you.
Exactly, great way to put it. You said it better than me. That's great.
And you did briefly touch on it before. You like Post Malone. Is there any other musical artists that you like that may be a bit of a surprise given the music you make?
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm influenced by a lot of stuff. Like honestly, you know, I don't know how rock and roll fans will feel about this, but fuck, like Sabrina Carpenter, I think some of her music's great. Even some music by like Olivia Rodrigo, or where the four of us are quite into Youngblood as well. We feel
Yeah,
like he's great, like really keeping that spirit alive of rock and roll. But you know, you got to listen to everything. I think when you're in a band, you can't be stuck in the one genre because I even like a lot of funk and jazz stuff as well, a lot of classical music and things like that. So
yeah,
that kind of gets brought into our music. Even some flamenco guitar playing and a lot of that sort of in that vein of flamenco playing with like the acoustic. I love all that classical stuff, and hence why our intro is a little bit like the intro to the album is. I try my best to do like a bit of flamenco guitars, like a
yeah.
fast acoustic guitar thing going on, and that's just what I'm into and what I like. And again, for the four of us, there's a different taste that we're all into, and we sort of bring to the band just naturally. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And can you share a memorable experience you've had during a previous tour?
Memorable experience. Oh, that's a good question. I gotta think. There's so many. So I
Yeah,
gotta, I gotta like. All right, a memorable experience. Okay, we were touring Australia. We're going up and we're touring up the East Coast, and we had like a Toyota Hiatus was the van that we had, and it was like a 12-seater van, and we had this massive trailer attached to it. It was like a 2-ton, 1-ton trailer. I don't know how big it was, but it was huge. It was bigger than the van,
yeah.
and this van of ours was really old, and we were like traveling like really uphill steeps and things like this, and it was,
Oh,
you know, and we were like on the road for like 8 or 6 weeks straight with like no breaks, and we are playing at this time. We are playing to like rock up at a venue and play to maybe like 2 people or 10 people if we're lucky, you know, like even our tour manager or roadie at the time was all we were playing to, you know, like so,
oh,
yeah. So we did that for weeks,
yeah.
and we were living off fast food and takeaway and you know things like that, and like we were so wrecked. Our I think our van broke down maybe 3 times on this tour, and on our way back, we're about 2 hours away or an hour and a half away from home, and our van fully broke down, and the I think the clutch of the van, because it was a manual van, the clutch broke down, so we were stuck on stranded on the side of the road for like hours until we had the finally, because we're in like the middle of nowhere, we had the you know, the car repair or whatever you call it, the tow truck to come pick us up. And we had hardly eaten. We were so thin, just eating like crap for the whole tour. And I think our mum at the time had to come pick us up.
Oh no.
And she said she saw us and she was like, "You just look so unwell." And
Oh,
that's a story. Just a lot of
yeah.
breakdowns and yeah, there's endless stories that, but off the top of my head, that's the one I can remember.
Yeah, no, mum having to save the day.
She
That's
came and saved the day. I
yeah.
have another story. Can I say another story?
Yeah, yeah.
This one just come to me. This is probably a bit more funny. We're performing at a local pub in Bunbury, Western Australia, and I was probably like maybe 12 or 13 at the time, and me and my Brennan, my brother, were front row. We were at the front of the stage, and we're doing our thing. And there's this older woman sort of like grabbing our legs and trying to grope us and things like that. She's probably in like her 60s or something like that.
Oh my
And I'm
God.
really young at the time. Even Brennan was, you know. And she she was very doing a lot of gestures and things to us, and then she hadn't seen her for the rest of the night, and then someone comes up to me at the end of the show while we're trying to pack up, and she's like, "Oh, some woman's here. She says she's your mum, and she really needs to see you, and she's locked herself in the bathroom." And I was like, my mum was actually there at the show this night, and I was like, "Oh, my mother's here. She's, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about." Yeah, and then she's like, "Well, she's claiming you're her son, and she really needs to see you guys, and she's locked herself in the bathroom." And I was like, "Okay," and I was like, I no, I don't, I have no idea who this woman is." And then this lady created a big scene. The security guards had to come drag her out the toilet, and she was like screaming at the top of her lungs, like, "I need to see my sons, they're my kids." And
My
she ended up
God.
getting tasered. She got tasered to get out of the venue because she was so like in belief that we were her sons. And I
Gee.
don't know. Yeah, so that was a good one.
Oh, that was a lucky miss as well. I feel like that
Yeah,
could have gone very south. Jeez.
yeah, yeah. I know it was
That's
pretty intense,
nuts.
but she was just I don't know, she was very intoxicated on whatever, I don't know,
Yeah.
but that was a
Oh my
scary for me
God.
at the time because I was only young. Like
Yeah.
I don't know who this
Jeez.
woman is. I've never seen her in my life, but
Oh
it's a
my
funny story
God.
now.
That's
Yeah,
that'd make a good like mini movie or something. That's
yeah, I know,
insane.
right? Yeah.
Christ. Um, have you had any following that? Have you had any like weird or cool fan interactions since then?
Yeah, there's been like a whole bunch again, like so many to try and think off the top of my head is hard to remember. One time a young girl, she was just off the top of my head, this first one that's come to my head because I find it cool. She was like a deaf girl. She was deaf, and she'd come to our shows all the time, and she was a huge fan. Um, and there was one time where she come up to us, and she's holding this little some little machine, and we're like, "Oh, what's
Uh-huh.
this?" And she's like, "Can you like you know gesture? Can you sign?" Her guardian was there like um translating, but said like, "Can you sign this for me?" And we're like, "Oh," and she was she was like, "Oh, it's her hearing aid," and we were like, okay, yeah. So we like signed it for her, and then she put it right back on. that
Oh,
was that was a cool experience.
yeah.
We've had people buy a bunch of shit for us, like a lot of gifts and things like that, and it's crazy. There's endless stories, but off the top of my head, that's what's come to my head.
No, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. What a beautiful story. If you think
Yeah, it's a
about
moment I
it,
always remember. It's a beautiful moment I always remember. And
yeah,
that was like a good 10 years ago now, but it always sticks with me
yeah,
that because it's like, wow, this
yeah.
young girl who was maybe like 9 or something was
Oh,
hands us her little hearing aid to sign for her. It was really
oh,
cool.
that's gonna make me cry.
I know, right? Yeah, it's a
Gosh.
touching one.
Oh dear. Outside of music, what are some of your favorite hobbies or activities?
Okay. Um, I like to work out a lot and stuff. Same as my younger brother. My younger brother's actually in the band, the bass player. He's a personal trainer, so
Oh,
we exercise a lot and do a lot of working out, as well as the other boys too in their own time. But me and him are pretty heavy on it and do it pretty constantly. So that's quite a hobby, I guess.
mm.
I'm not here to try to look like a bodybuilder or anything. It's just to keep in shape, you know. um,
No, it
but
has
so
its
that's
perks.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's a bit of that. But as well, I'm myself. I'm quite obsessed with the guitar a little bit and music in general. So I'm always doing something on guitar or always writing something or I've got amps and things like that and different guitars. I'm always on the guitar. That's a big thing I do. So
yeah,
it really is as well as in the band. It's just a personal hobby of mine. I enjoy doing.
yeah. That's awesome. And I heard you guys have got a huge USA tour coming up. How are you
We
guys feeling
do.
about that?
Yeah, we're good. We're excited for it. I mean, I've looked at the tour poster recently, and I was like, I already feel tired looking at that. But
Yes.
it is what it is, and we're excited for it. We got the Monsters of Rock cruise coming up next month or next. I think we take off on the 7th of March, which is like next Thursday,
Yeah.
I think. Anyway, but it's going to be intense, and but it's each time we do a tour overseas, there's always like a great experience, and we have some great stories that come out of it. So
Yeah.
we're excited for all of that. I just recently purchased a camera for myself, like a nice good camera because I want to document all this stuff, and so I'm excited for that too. So to see what sort of stories come out of it.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And is there one place in particular that you've always wanted to play or that you're excited to play?
Um, yeah, I mean, like we love going to LA all the time because the vibe there is always great, especially when we do shows there. People are really into it, and the following's growing there, and it's always exciting there. There's always good stories that come out of it. But as well, especially this Monsters of Rock cruise thing we got going on. We're super excited for that because we're playing with like heroes of ours. Especially, I'm a huge fan of Extreme and Nuno Betancourt, who's a guitarist, and he's like one of my biggest influences and idols. And so I'm going to be like stuck on a boat with those guys for 5 days. Like I'm going to try bump into them. I don't know what I'm going to do, but
Yeah, you gotta.
that's yeah, we're super excited for that. But there's not even just those guys. There's like George Lynch, who's another guitarist I'm heavily into. There's like just endless artists that are on there they were big influences for us growing up. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, that's wicked. And do you have any pre-show rituals or routines that help get you in the zone?
Hmm. Yeah, my little pre-show rituals, I'll just sit there and I'll just feel my guitar like going up and down the neck, like constantly. That's just for a warm-up side of things.
Yeah.
Uh, there is a little bit of a ritual. We haven't actually spoken of this, but we kind of just naturally do it before we go on stage. When we're on stage ready to start, we all have to fist bump each other.
Nice.
And if we don't, or for me anyway, if I don't touch each of their fists, I feel like something's
Bad luck.
gonna
Yeah.
bad luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same as like if I don't perform with this bracelet,
Oh,
if I don't
that's
perform with this, I feel weird. Like I have to
yeah.
have it.
What
Yeah.
what's on it?
It's a it's just a regular bracelet. So
Yeah.
it's like a chain bracelet. I got it for like my 18th birthday or something. I don't know when it was, but I've just always kept it. And then there's a little medallion on there that a friend of mine gave to me that I've added to it that keeps you safe and
Oh,
protects you. Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wicked. When you guys are touring, do you still like party hard after you guys have come off a tour or in between, or do you like to keep it relaxed so you can recharge?
If we've come off a tour or a show.
Mm. How about both?
Both. All right. For a show, before a show, we don't like to drink at all or be
Mhm.
intoxicated in any way. Because the show is very important to us, and putting on the show is what we care about the most. Because when we're on stage, it's like, this is why we're here. You know, this is an important thing, and it's very serious to us. And we like to give a good show and not be intoxicated while doing so. But after the show, if we're not packing down a whole bunch of equipment, because we did our album launch recently in Melbourne, and we have the drums that spin. We have, some pyrotechnic stuff, and there's a lot that goes into the show. So if we have a show like that, there's a lot to pack down. It takes like a good hour or so, a good couple of hours to sort of get everything packed up, and then we might have a long drive home. So for those sort of shows, we don't really get to party afterwards as much as we'd probably like to. But we have the shows where we have minimal equipment and we can kind of pack up quickly, and we're like, all right, let's head to the next bar and sort of kick on afterwards. And but on a tour, like, we're always, it's like that, depending on how the show is. If we don't have much equipment, if we got a quick pack up, we'll kick on and party on a bit afterwards. And once tour's done, we all go back to our personal jobs and everything like that, so we can't continue on that lifestyle after a tour.
I can imagine. And speaking of personal jobs, last question. You just mentioned it. Do you have another side job aside from the band?
I do. I just work at a JB Hi-Fi. And I teach guitar as well.
Perfect person for it.
It's good. It's fitting.
Oh, lovely. Ozzy, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with the tour.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for doing the interview.